what if I told you that they are the same? And that's because a small change right now leads to a massive change down the road. While if you try to actually make some sort of massive change right out of the gate, in my case, it almost always led to failure instead. I never managed to maintain it after that initial motivation was gone. Let me paint the picture and let's see if you can relate. So I start out super excited. I just found insane motivation to turn my life around because I'm tired of my own bullshit and not living up to my potential. I usually do really well for around a month, but as time progresses, the initial motivation and energy that I felt in that moment a month ago have dissipated quite a bit, and all of a sudden it isn't around anymore. I start to struggle and eventually I give up on the lifestyle change that I made. Because without that drive and motivation to actually get it done, I am hopeless to maintain that massive change that I made. Personally, I just tried to make some sort of massive change right off the bat, and it never worked because every time that I did it, I was leaning too much into just doing it out of straight motivation, and I was doing something that was completely not me. So for example, let's say that you are someone who has horrible discipline, and all of a sudden you decide that you are going to adopt like 3 or 4 or even 5 new habits that all include executing upon tons of discipline. Well, in the start, you might actually get a lot of success in it, but that is only because you are so incredibly motivated in that moment out of something that you perhaps went through. And as soon as that motivation leaves you, you are left with all of these habits that you need to maintain, and you cannot do it because you do not have that motivation that allowed you to do it in the beginning. When you take on such a massive change, you are so different from how you were before. So here's the thing about humans. We are always fighting to stay congruent with how we view ourselves in our actions, right? So if you go about altering your life in some extreme way that is so different from how you were before, if that is the case, it is going to be extremely hard for you to actually follow through on it because you do not see yourself as the person who does that. So in my case, I actually failed with all of these massive changes. And the thing is that you do not need to make massive changes, because a small change right now, if you manage to maintain it for, let's say, 1, 2 or 3 years, compared to making a massive change that lasts for 2 or 3 months, that small change is going to be so much more powerful and impactful on your life because it is going to be using the compound effect. And if you haven't heard about it before, basically it is that small changes or small actions done in a consistent way over a long period of time pay massive dividends down the road. If I were you, I would ask myself what I would be willing to do today, moving into the future for 3 whole years. Let's say 3 years, right? Let's say that you want to get more in shape, and the only thing that you see possible for you to do for 3 whole years right now is take 500 steps outside. Then that is something, and I would start there. And perhaps after you've done that for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, you can increase that to the double amount. That way you start adjusting your body a little bit to the change and you don't quite shock it as much, so that you just end up quitting down the road anyways. So you start by 500 steps, then you go to 1000, and then you go to 2000, and perhaps when you reach 5000 steps, you convert it into running instead. You adapt it over time. And it becomes easy because it is quite similar to how you have already done it before, which is the good part. If you are trying to find a moment that is going to change everything for you, that defining moment that just sets you off into happy land, where you are going to be living like a king or queen for the rest of your life. You will never find that. It is small things done right, stacked on top of each other. How many small things can you do right in your day? And don't forget that it's all about the consistency of it. In order to reap the benefits of what you're doing, you can't just do it for 3 or 6 months, or 1 year, or 2 years. It kind of depends upon what it is that you are doing. For example, if you're creating some sort of business or a YouTube channel, go in with the mindset that it is going to take a long time, and that as long as you are staying consistent with what it is that you are doing, you will reach it eventually. Take everything that I am saying with a grain of salt, because we're all different. This is something that has worked very well for me. That does not necessarily mean that it is going to be the absolute solution for you. In some situations, it can actually be extremely good to take a massive change in your life. Let's say that you have a faulty heart, you have some heart problems, and you have to cut out all of those foods and you have to start working out and so on. In that situation, it is a whole lot easier to actually make the change because you have a massive why to do it. Your why is extremely important, so if you are looking to make a massive change, even though I'm telling you this, then go ahead and watch one of my videos on your why, because it is extremely important. Alright, I think that's gonna wrap up this video. If you enjoyed it or got something out of it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, stay awesome my friends, and I'll see you later. Ciao.